The alien envoy's words echoed across every broadcast channel from Earth to the fringe colonies. We granted you 150 years of peace, and you answered with bloodshed. They spoke it with disappointment, like a teacher scolding a child. But Captain Elena Ruiz had heard enough messages from the Valari Dominion to recognize the deeper tone in their voices. Fear. Elena stood on the observation deck of New Horizon, the outermost human station before Valari patrolled space. It was a quiet frontier post. Too quiet. The Dominion believed silence was safety, regulation was kindness, and stagnation was mercy. Humanity had not fought a war in 150 years, but neither had it invented anything truly new. No breakthroughs, no revolutions, just carefully monitored stability. A peace that lasts this long, Elena often muttered, starts to smell like a cage. At 38, she was one of the youngest station commanders in history, and one of the few with full military training. The Dominion rarely allowed such things. Officially, she was a coordinator of interstellar compliance, a title that meant nothing and everything. The elevator behind her chimed. Dr. Malakose, chief engineer, emerged with a tablet full of bad news. Malik was calm by nature, calm like a mathematician, a man who saw ratios even in chaos. He spoke without greeting. That's the third ship to vanish this month. No debris, no comms, no flight trail. His eyes narrowed. They don't just disappear. Someone is erasing them. Elena folded her arms. The Valari claims it's gravitational anomalies. That's what they said about the solar distortions. Then the subspace disruptions. Now this. Malik tapped the screen. If you stack the anomalies, they follow a pattern. She knew what that implied, and she hated it. Patterns meant intent. The station's historian and cultural liaison, Ava Park, entered next, clutching a stack of digital archives like prized relics. Ava was a dreamer, and dreamers were rare these days. The Dominion's version of peace discouraged imagination. Curiosity created unpredictability, and unpredictability, according to the Valari, created war. Her voice was soft yet stubborn. Captain, the first contact transcripts, real transcripts, not the approved versions, show the Dominion didn't offer peace. They imposed it. Earth was spared, but only under surveillance. We weren't saved from war. We were quarantined from progress. Malik nodded. They treat us like a virus. Before Elena could respond, the lights flickered. Twice. A very specific pattern. Elena didn't even need to ask who caused it. Jax Thorne, the station's wild card, swung into the room with a grin sharp enough to break atmosphere. Before anyone yells, yes, I access the restricted systems. Yes, I bypass encryption. And yes, I found something that looks very illegal. Elena sighed. Jax, one day I'll court-martial you. One day. Jax replied cheerfully, is not today. He projected a set of encrypted transmissions stolen from the Dominion relay channels. They were short, only static and bursts of code. Malik analyzed them instantly. It's location data. Are they tracking us? Ava asked. No, Malik said grimly. They're tracking ships before they disappear. The Dominion knew about the vanishings before they happened. Elena felt the room tighten. The Dominion had always monitored humanity, but this was something different. Silent coordination. Observation without consent. A plan unfolding beyond human oversight. A chime sounded. An incoming high-priority transmission from the Valari. Elena accepted it alone. The alien emissary appeared, sleek, silver-skinned, elegant as a dagger. The Valari never looked hurried. That was part of their power. Captain Ruiz, it said, voice smooth as mercury. Your people have exceeded the recommended threshold of inquiry. Do not investigate the disappearances. Comply and peace will continue. And if we don't comply? Elena asked. Non-compliance invites uncertainty. Uncertainty invites conflict. And conflict. The emissary's luminous eyes hardened. Conflict is what we rescued you from. When the message ended, Elena remained still. Then she spoke into the station's open channel, voice steady as steel. Team, conference room, now. They arrived within minutes. Elena, Ava said gently, They're telling us to stop digging, which means we have to keep digging. Malik gestured to his data stream, and they've stopped pretending it's natural anomalies. Whatever is out there is planned. Jax cracked his knuckles. So the question isn't whether we investigate. It's how loud we do it. Elena looked at her crew, each flawed, brilliant, necessary. Humanity's strength had never been uniformity. It was variance. They were proof. Our history, she said clearly, didn't begin with peace. It began with curiosity. So yes, we investigate. Ava smiled faintly. That'll look good in the archives. Malik added, just try not to make it look like rebellion. Yet, Elena nodded. Our mission is simple. We go to the outer marker and track whatever caused those disappearances. If it's benign, we report it. If it's hostile, we survive it. That's all. Jax leaned forward. You know they'll call this treason. Let them, Elena said, because we're not starting a war. We're ending a silence. The room grew quiet, not uncertain, just aware that something had shifted. A line had been crossed not with weapons, but with questions. Minutes later, as New Horizons' engines powered up for its first unauthorized launch in a century, Malik noticed something on his console, a faint pulse at the edge of long-range sensors, almost like a signal waiting to be noticed. And for the first time in 150 years, humanity chose to notice. The station turned toward the unknown, and the unknown turned toward them. The outer marker human territory was more concept than location, a sparse collection of sensor buoys drifting across a dark frontier that officially held nothing of significance. Yet 3 ships had vanished in that emptiness, and humans had never trusted empty spaces. We always suspected something was waiting there. New Horizon approached the coordinates with passive scanners only. Captain Elena Ruiz knew the Dominion monitored everything modern ships emitted. Subtlety was their only armor. Malik stood over his console, like a conductor. Lines of data streamed before him, forming patterns only his mind seemed able to interpret. There's interference, but not random. It pulses in increments, almost conversational. A language? Ava asked. No. A test. Malik frowned. It's mapping our sense of limits. Meaning, something out there was studying them first. Elena kept her voice low. Jax, how close can you get to origin point Delta 5 without tripping active detection? Jax cracked his neck. Close enough to kiss it. Don't kiss it, Elena replied. I make no promises. He guided the ship forward with unnerving precision, balancing thrusts like a tightrope walker. Jax flew as if he didn't believe in gravity. Only momentum and timing. Elena used to find him reckless. Lately, she suspected recklessness was exactly the skill they needed. Malik spoke again, tone sharpening. Captain, the interference isn't masking our scans. It's guiding them. Explain. It's like it wants us to find something, but only its version of something. A curated mystery. Elena hated curated mysteries. Ava sifted through digital archives, her voice laced with quiet unease. During early contact, the Dominion told us their greatest achievement was the removal of uncertainty. They said chaos was the seed of war. Jack snorted. Chaos is the seed of everything fun. Everything possible, Ava corrected. As they reached the source of the signal, New Horizon sensors picked up an object, vast, intricate, nearly invisible to standard scans. A structure suspended in space, wrapped in biomechanical strands like frozen lightning. It pulsed faintly, breathing without lungs. Malik zoomed in. Everyone leaned forward. It's Valari, he said grimly, but not anything we've been shown before. Elena stared. The Dominion had claimed their peacekeeping stations were positioned only around volatile alien civilizations. Yet this one was deep in human space, hidden like a tooth beneath healed skin. It's watching us, Malik added. Probably always has been. That was when another signal appeared, sharp, sudden, aimed directly at them. A technological spear. Drones incoming, Jack said. Fast. How many? Elena asked. He blinked. Enough that I don't want to count. The ship shook. Malik's monitors lit up with warnings. I've got 2 systems locked, Malik said. If we take a hit, Backup comms will die. Is it weapons fire? Ava asked. No. Elena realized. It's testing us. Just like the signal. They're studying response, how we react under threat. Jax grinned fiercely. Let's give them something new to study. Elena hesitated. They could win a real battle, not against Valari constructs. The station was an exploration vessel at best, but losing passively was worse. Malik, she said, can we generate fake system outputs? Feed false vulnerability data into their scanners. Malik considered. I can simulate breaches. Make ourselves look damaged but reactive. Do it. He worked rapidly, eyes hard with intent. Ava watched him with cautious awe. They expect fear or submission, she murmured. We'll show them curiosity pretending to be fear. Jax swerved the ship with acrobatic grace, making narrow evasions look accidental, not evasive maneuvers, but panicked stumbles. Elena almost admired it. The drones pulled back briefly, studying, recalculating their assumptions. They're confused, Malik said. They thought we'd collapse by now. Jack spun the ship once more and whispered, Your move. Elena saw it then. The Dominion didn't maintain peace. They simulated war. Every risk controlled, every outcome predetermined. Humanity wasn't protected. It was measured. A transmission arrived, no voice, but a directive. A corridor of drones parted, forming coordinates ahead. It was an invitation deeper into the structure. Ava read it with dread. They want to see what we do next. Elena looked at her crew. Suggestions? Do not go in there, Ava said immediately. Go in there, Jack said at the same time. Malik didn't speak. He only watched Elena, trusting her more than any probability model. Elena Ruiz understood command better than anyone. Leadership wasn't deciding what people wanted. It was deciding what they needed. We go, she said, carefully. New Horizon pierced the corridor of drones. Malik monitored vitals. Jax kept thrusters barely active. Ava recorded everything, her historian instincts fighting with fear. The structure unfolded around them like a steel flower. Organic walls pulsed. Symbols appeared. Not commands, assessments. Line after line of translated analysis filled the console. Potential hostile evolution. Resistance patterns detected. Human unpredictability remains high. Containment protocol escalating. Ava's voice dropped to a whisper. These aren't monitoring tools. They're threat classifications. Jax exhaled. They've been planning for us to fail peace. Not fail, Ava said. Break it. Because the peace was never built to last. It was built to restrain. Malik studied the alien screens. They think they know us. This entire station is a prediction engine. Elena felt something old ignite in her chest. The Spark humans once called defiance. The Dominion had feared human war, but feared human imagination even more. She toggled a silent command to crew. Prepare escape vector, just in case. But before action could be taken, another message appeared. Larger, bolder, carved in Valari code and translated automatically. Do not proceed. Peace remains preferable to extinction. Silence settled across the bridge. Elena stood taller. They think those are our only options. Ava looked up. Are they? Elena answered without hesitation. Not anymore. The ship began its retreat, but every member of the crew knew they weren't returning to safety. They were returning to a truth long buried. That peace without choice was not peace at all. As the drone sealed the corridor behind them, Malik said quietly, They'll come for us now. They'll try, Elena replied. New Horizon turned toward human space, and in its wake, the alien structure pulsed once, almost as if it sensed what humanity was about to become. New Horizon returned to human space in silence, yet the crew felt every sensor on the Valari structure watching them go, like a scientist observing a useful specimen. The engines hummed softly, but the air crackled with unspoken questions. Humanity had always advanced by asking questions. Now those questions threatened to start a war. Ava Park sat alone in the archive chamber, reviewing the Dominion's threat classification logs. The more she read, the colder she felt. The files categorized human behavior like chemical reactions. spontaneous innovation, unpredictable cooperation, emotional volatility, not weaknesses, instabilities. She whispered to herself, "They aren't afraid of our weapons. They're afraid of our potential." Malik entered quietly, carrying a datapad full of calculations. "I've been studying the station's algorithms. They aren't forecasting aggression. They're forecasting adaptation. The Dominion doesn't want to stop a war. They want to stop whatever comes after it." Ava closed the logs. "Then they don't understand us at all. We don't adapt because we want to win. We adapt because we refuse to disappear." Across the ship, Captain Elena Ruiz convened a meeting in the command room. Each step she took felt heavier than the last. Leadership had always been burden and clarity, but now it felt like preparation. As of this moment, she began, "Our mission is no longer reconnaissance. We are preparing for contact, possibly conflict." She looked at each face. "We survived our first encounter with the Dominion's hidden station. We won't survive a second in our current state." Jax leaned back in his seat with a dangerous grin. "I've always wanted to upgrade this ship, preferably before it gets shot." Elena allowed a thin smile. "That's your specialty, making safety look reckless." Malik tapped his datapad. "I believe I can integrate fragments of the Dominion's biotech into our systems." Carefully, their drones anticipated every response, except creativity. Ava nodded. "Then we use the one weapon they never predicted: choice." The team began a transformation that felt less like preparation for battle and more like an awakening. Malik engineered hybrid circuits from scavenged components. Ava composed a message, not a warning, but an invitation, designed to broadcast across human colonies. "We are more than observers. We are participants." Jack spent hours in the simulation chamber, training civilian pilots via remote uplink. He didn't lecture them. He challenged them. "Protocol keeps you safe," he barked, "but instinct keeps you alive. Learn to improvise. The Dominion won't know how to stop that." Oddly, morale rose, not just aboard New Horizon, but across every ship and outpost that heard their message. Mechanic crews began repurposing mining lasers into defense tools. Civilians practiced formation flying with cargo drones. Children on frontier colonies held makeshift strategy games, naming maneuvers after historical revolutions. Ava called it the imagination bloom. Soon, Dominion broadcasts arrived, more frequent, more insistent. The latest transmission bore no deception. Only warning: you risk awakening the chaos that once consumed you. Stagnation is mercy. Progress is peril. Elena replied without hesitation. Mercy isn't the same as freedom. The message was cut mid-transmission, but it already reached every listening ear. Tension deepened. Sensors detected Dominion fleets massing along the border. But human vessels, disparate, untrained, underpowered, began drifting nearer to New Horizon, answering a call that had never been spoken directly. Not a fleet, not an army. A choice. Malik ran projections night after night. If they deploy even one coordinated strike, we won't stand a chance. But we're too unorganized to predict. That may be our only edge. Ava mused. Throughout history, humanity never won by overpowering. We won by outthinking and outlasting. Jack smirked. Unpredictability is a strategy. Chaos is a language. Elena surveyed the gathered images of approaching ships. Cargo vessels, survey shuttles, outdated cruisers, each flying with patched-up parts and restless determination. Not soldiers. Citizens. She felt something shift within her. Not hope, commitment. The Dominion finally sent a direct envoy, materializing in holographic form on a command bridge. Its eyes glowed like distant suns. This escalation violates preservation accords, it declared. You are abandoning peace. Elena stood her ground. Peace without purpose is a prison. You are choosing chaos, the envoy warned. Ava stepped forward. No, she said calmly. We're choosing possibility. A long silence followed. Then the envoy spoke with something new in its voice, uncertainty. Humanity was granted stability. You were destined for survival, not ambition. Malik replied, Destiny is just prediction without imagination. A spark, small, nearly imperceptible, flared in the envoy's eyes. Fear. Then the transmission ended, leaving the crew alone with the knowledge that the Dominion had not anticipated this response. They expected defiance. They had not expected creativity. Jax exhaled slowly. They're going to attack us now. Elena nodded. Yes, and we're going to teach them something. What's that? He asked. That humanity never starts with war, she said softly. We start with questions, and questions never end. Outside the viewport, civilian ships formed loose constellations around New Horizon. Their movements were unsynchronized, imperfect, beautiful. Ava began her broadcast, the first free message sent beyond Dominion-regulated frequencies in generations. It wasn't a declaration of war. It was an invitation to think. Across dozens of vessels, pilots, technicians, and citizens began drafting strategies. Sometimes brilliant, sometimes reckless, always inventive. The Dominion's fleets approached, shadows across stars. The Dreamers' war had begun, and humanity had never felt more awake. Dawn had no meaning in space, yet the crew felt it, an atmospheric pressure before the storm. Dominion fleets emerged from subspace in precise formations, their ships aligned with surgical confidence. They moved not like warriors, but like a verdict. New Horizon stood at the center of an improvised human constellation. Civilian freighters, mining vessels, decommissioned scouts, ships never meant for war, formed a chaotic defense ring around the station. There was no symmetry, no formation, no predictability. And that, Elena Ruiz hoped, was their one advantage. Malik analyzed the feed from the Dominion Armada. Their targeting algorithms are designed for strategy. They can't predict creative mistakes. He lifted his eyes. Our weakness is our weapon. Jax grinned. Then let's get as messy as possible. He launched in a light shuttle he'd modified without permission, likely against several engineering laws. As he accelerated into the void, he transmitted his flight path to fleet. The path was not tactical. It was artistic, loops, swirls, impossible turns. Civilian pilots followed, not perfectly, not in sync, but with spirit. The Dominion ships hesitated, seeking patterns, failing to find them. Ava watched through the viewport, voice soft with awe. We're fighting with improvisation. Human instinct, Malik replied. Raw, unfiltered, unoptimized. Elena coordinated the chaos, turning every mistake into a maneuver. Every off-course ship became a decoy. Every technical failure became an opening. Humanity wasn't simply resisting. It was inventing resistance. The Dominion began to adapt, slowly reading the pattern of unpredictability, turning chaos into equations. Malik noticed first. They're learning us, he warned, faster than expected. Elena nodded. Then we change faster. Ava stepped forward, holding her broadcast tablet. Let me send a second message. Elena hesitated. What kind? Not a plea, Ava said. A story. She transmitted a universal signal. Simple, clear, ancient. Humanity's history condensed into moments of desperate brilliance. The first fire, the first cure, the first rocket, the first step on unmarked soil. It was not propaganda. It was a declaration of character. The Dominion ships slowed, as if pausing to listen. Ava concluded her broadcast with serene conviction. Peace without choice isn't peace. It's silence, and humanity will not live in silence. Malik seized the lull. Captain, now is the moment. Their predictive algorithms are occupied. We can try the improvised hybrid systems. Elena gave the order. Human ships activated Malik's experimental technology, Dominion biotech, fused with human engineering. The result was unstable, volatile, and utterly untested. Engines flared with unprecedented thrust. Sensor arrays bent physics. One shuttle accidentally teleported its toolbox 3 feet to the left. Jax's laughter filled the comms. The impossible just scrambled my breakfast. The Dominion shifted again, but their confidence was slipping. They were built for control, not surprise. Malik's prototype shields flickered to life, protecting New Horizon just as a Dominion beam struck. The ship trembled, yet held. Elena braced herself. Malik's status? He exhaled in disbelief. We survived. Somehow, a second wave of Dominion ships surrounded them. No broadcast arrived this time. No warning, just a sight of inevitable force. Ava whispered what everyone felt. They're about to decide if we're worth fearing or worth ending. Jax's voice cut in from the shuttle. Captain, I've got one last idea. It's reckless, technically illegal, and might redefine the concept of explosion. Elena answered immediately. Do it. Moments later, Jax executed a maneuver that defied flight mechanics. His shuttle used hybrid thrusters to fold space, not jumping but bending it. Dominion targeting systems failed instantly. Their beams hit empty space, or occasionally each other. The human fleet followed with their own approximations, some accidental, others brilliant, all unpredictable. Malik observed the spectacle with fascination. They can't counter this. We're no longer attacking. We're evolving in real time. A final Dominion transmission arrived, not as threat, but as inquiry. How do you operate without direction? How do you survive without certainty? Elena replied, her voice steady. We don't survive despite uncertainty. We survive through it. Then the transmission ended, not cut, but closed. The Dominion ships retreated slowly, their formations disrupted, not destroyed, but changed. They carried no smoke, no wreckage, only questions. For the first time in generations, humanity had left an impression on their guardians, a variable they could not quantify. As silence settled, New Horizons lights flickered back to calm glow. Systems stabilized. Malik collapsed into a chair, exhausted but alive. Jax docked his shuttle with a triumphant cheer. Top speed, 0 casualties. And I invented a new form of motion sickness. We win. Elena faced Ava. What will history call this? Ava gazed toward the stars. Not victory, not rebellion. She smiled faintly. Awakening. Malik nodded. We didn't start a war. No, Elena said quietly. We ended a silence. Outside the viewport, the Dominion fleet drifted away, not defeated but thoughtful. The galaxy had seen humanity react. Now it would see humanity create.